Okay, so I'm Laura Broxson and I'm from the National Animal Rights Association, and I'm here with a good friend of mine and fellow activist, Dean Mullen. So, hi Dean, thanks for joining me
Yeah,
today.
thanks. Yeah, no problem.
So, what I wanted to ask you first was, what was it that made you go vegan?
Um, well, I went vegetarian first in 2008. I was around 13, and so what made me go vegetarian was just sort of a feeling of sort of empty towards animals, and I didn't really think it through too much at that time. But then for going vegan, um, it moved beyond just a sort of a feeling of empty or some like or just like some a sense of like not wanting to hurt animals, because I began to learn a lot more about the dairy industry, the egg industry, and so on. And Earthlings helped a lot with that. Watching Earthlings, the documentary, so that helped a lot in that regard. So I watched that, and it really helped with figuring out like with learning more about what's going on, and sort of developing my opinions on like why to avoid animal products, more in terms of animal rights, in terms of the environment, and so on.
Yeah, I think that Earthlings in particular was a real game changer for a lot of people. I remember being at the premiere of it years ago and not being able to sit through the whole thing. It's horrendous, but it
Mm.
does make people think. And following on from going vegan, you've been involved in a lot of different campaigns and groups and events and stuff like that. What made you go from being vegan to realizing you wanted to become more of an activist?
Um, well, I mean, it kind of happened around a similar time, to be honest. I became an activist. Well, actually, I mean, to be fair, I kind of did become a bit of an activist before I actually went vegan to a certain extent. Um, because I got involved, obviously, in NARA's anti-fur protest. That was I was around 2012. Um, so what I kind of learned about was like I found out about the protests that were going on. I was talking to someone online, and we had a chat, and he mentioned that I think I must have joined some sort of groups or something like that. And then he mentioned that there was an animal rights group. So I decided to give it a go and to join. And it was kind of during my time there. Sorry, there's a cat. um,
They can join us.
yeah, during the time there, during that time, as the first couple of years of my activism, I began to do more research, and then I went vegan. I suppose, kind of in hindsight, it's kind of surprising that I didn't end up doing that research before becoming an activist or learning enough. But I did as I went along. So yeah.
So sometimes that actually helps. Like a lot of people, that I would know, would be kind of vegetarian first and maybe go to something like a fur protest or a circus protest, and then
Hmm.
you're kind of opened up to other
More.
vegans and other issues and more information. So, I think that getting involved in activism can often be your sort of stepping stone to veganism. But kind of to bring it back to what inspired your vegan journey, Earthlings, you're, a videographer, you direct, you do all sorts of stuff, and you make animal rights documentaries. So in particular, people might recall it was your documentary on Ireland's fur trade that helped kickstart the campaign, which resulted in cross-party support and government approving a ban on fur farming. So can you talk a little bit about what made you decide to do that documentary, and what was sort of the process and the lead up to that?
So the documentary, I decided. I mean, originally, even going back to like say 2014, I had this idea of making an anti-fur farming documentary. I kind of got like started on like something, but it didn't really go anywhere with it. I didn't really have like the right sort of film equipment and stuff at the time anyway, so it was just something I kind of like did and a little bit put together a couple of clips, and that was about it. But then yeah, a couple of years later, eventually it's something I decided like, I'll actually do it this time. And I figured it was a good sort of topic to focus on. So I decided, yeah, I'll get clips together of fur farms, of outside the fur farms, the various protests, and I thought I'd interview different people So I interviewed you guys, members of NARA. I interviewed so some other several other activists as well, and also then
And you had
Maureen
Maureen
O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan as well,
Yeah,
which is great.
Maureen O'Sullivan. Yeah, so getting the political aspect of it as well. So yeah, I kind of just got all these different interviews together and different protests and stuff like that. Just to sort of yeah, so I suppose the main reason I sort of decided to do it was just it was something that I considered for quite a while and decided to finally just go for it.
And were you surprised at how popular it got and what a big part it was in resulting in the ban on fur farming?
Yeah, it was great to see that like it picked up views and it got people interested, and that was it was a great outcome from it. You know, it's always very hard to know when you put something out online. You've no idea whether it's going to get 10 views or 1,000 views or how it's going to go. So it was great that it was successful in that regard. Yeah, it was a good outcome.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely brilliant, and it really gave people a huge insight into the reality of Irish fur farms. And I remember even, you know, getting messages regularly, either on the Facebook page or through the website, talking about not even really linking the video so much to our campaign, but talking about they've seen this fur documentary, it's terrible, how can they get involved? And you know that was yours, so it got such high amount of views, and you know we sent it to every TD in the country as well. So it was a great tool and a great insight. And then after the cabinet agreed to the fur farming ban, then you produced another shorter documentary, kind of going over the campaign and explaining the result, and that was really popular as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that was Ireland's Fur Trade 2, the end of fur farming. So that basically was just sort of released that towards the end of 2019, I believe. It was kind of around August, I suppose. It was kind of around that time, August or so. And it was basically just to sort of summarize what we'd done, you know, to show what our campaign had achieved. And so in part, I mean, first of all, it was a interesting idea for a sequel, but then also it was sort of, I think it has good value in terms of showing people that campaigns can succeed. That, you know, it's not all sort of like, you know, just, you know, a dream like that can't be achieved. It, you know, it shows, you know, a campaign that, you know, commenced, and that a campaign that got underway, and it's kind of started, you know, from scratch. I mean, ultimately, I kind of, you know, one thing I think that's quite impressive about the campaign like that is that, you know, ultimately there was only maybe a dozen or so, or maybe a dozen or two, of given activists who, you know, would regularly be taking part in protests, and sometimes those protests would just be a handful of people, and yet that consistent pressure and the online campaigns as well, obviously getting people to email, but like ultimately you just have like a dozen or two people who are fundamentally sort of doing this as sort of their, you know, their sort of side job, or like or are focusing on this week in, week out, and being involved week in, week out, and yet that's all it took, you know, to actually succeed. In terms of, obviously you needed the bigger picture in terms of getting, you know, political element, and then obviously you know, have to get you know, people involved online. But in terms of people who are involved, you know, day in, day out, week in, week out, I mean, it's a small number of people. So the fact that that can achieve the changes it did achieve really shows how few a number of people you need to really bring about real change. So it's so yeah, I thought it was good to sort of highlight that and to show that you know, that change can be achieved.
Absolutely. You know, it only takes a small amount of people to create big change in the country if, you know, you have that sort of persistence. And as someone who is great at documenting all these things, be it protests or like that you filmed at the fur farms and stuff like that, what bigger role do you feel that videography plays in campaigns? And
Yeah.
you know, what were your experiences? I know you've gone to some other events outside slaughterhouses and stuff like that. What were those experiences as well?
Yeah, so in terms of videography, I think it's obviously becoming. I mean, it's been an important tool for animal rights for decades, but I think it's becoming increasingly important now, obviously in the age of social media. So with social media, people are able to get videos directly to other activists. You know, obviously, even though videography was important 20 or 30 years ago because people could still put together documentaries and screen them. I think now it's the access is like, you know, you're able to get it out to people, to other activists all over the world instantly. Um, and, you know, you're able to get footage out there or protests. So videography is, I think it's really important. And then obviously you can use videography not just to sort of capture, you know, clips of short things of like, you know, just of raw clips of like what's happening, but you know, you can put them together and compile them in such a way as to sort of, you know, to add emotion and to tell a story. You know, and to you know, if you use music and if you use and you edit the clips in such a way, you can make more out of it than just the clips, the individual clips on their own. You know, like
Yeah, like even the music that you add to things, you know, it can be very sad or energetic or dramatic, and it does draw the viewer in. So all of these elements, you know, combined with your either titles or subtitles, along with the clips and the music, it does all add to the visual storytelling of it, and it does have a huge effect.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like the idea of it, is to, you know, is to put it out there in a way as to, you know, inspire people to get involved, whether that's by seeing something that's sad and upsetting or whether that's by seeing something hopeful in terms of the change that can come about, or a bit of both. So yeah, I think that's a big part of what makes videography so important in terms for animal rights, because it can inspire people. You know, social media posts on their own have great value. Sometimes having a video can suddenly catch people's attention in a way that they hadn't been caught before, and it can make people, you know, it can make people click in terms of like, oh, I want to do something about this. It can hit people emotionally more. You know, they say like pictures say 1,000 words, but sometimes videos can say an awful lot too as well. Um,
Definitely, absolutely.
um, so yeah, I joined. I only went once, but I think it was once I only went. Yeah. So the Save protest, basically the Save movement, is this global movement about you know, about basically bearing witness to animals outside slaughterhouses. So I just went to, I think it was about 2 years ago, I decided to go to one of their events, their vigils, just to see what it's like. I did go to something similar, not, it wasn't a Save movement, but it was something else, a chicken vigil in Vancouver, Canada, back in April 2018. But then in September 2018, then I went to a vigil, Save vigil outside Keyback Slaughterhouse in Clonee, and yeah, it's kind of surreal in many ways to see the animals up close and to see them head, like, as they're heading in to a slaughterhouse. Yeah, so it was yeah, I mean, it was tough to see them actually as they're going in. It was
It's very
uh,
traumatic to see.
yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. Put it that way. Yeah, it's upsetting.
But you've used some of the footage you got from that to put towards your new documentary, which is about Irish
Yeah.
slaughterhouses. So it, you know, from that traumatic, horrible experience, at least you were able to use it to shine a light to the reality of, you know, the meat industry in Ireland. So what was your process in that new documentary, and what made you decide to go for that as a project next?
Yeah, so Ireland Slaughterhouses, I decided to do a short documentary highlighting abattoirs in Ireland, and to show kind of like, you know, what goes on inside them, to show you know, Well, maybe not so much inside them. We didn't have footage of that, but at the show, kind of the animals going in to discuss what may be going on inside in terms of the stunning methods used and things like that. And so, yeah, I wanted to highlight this as an issue. It's been an idea I've had for a documentary for quite some time. I mean, there's so many different animal rights issues that you could highlight, you could discuss, and I figured it was an important one because there isn't really any there isn't much content out there in terms of slaughterhouses in Ireland. So I thought this was a good chance to sort of get something out there, and I figured a short documentary was suited to it, and I thought hopefully it would raise awareness and show people what's going on, because not many people know about. I mean, obviously people understand there are slaughterhouses in Ireland, but I don't think very many people have probably ever seen a clip even related to a slaughterhouse in Ireland in their entire lives in Ireland, because even when like RTE and RTE have done tons of farming documentaries, I mean, I've never seen one where they even go outside the slaughterhouse,
Yeah, same. I've never seen anything from here, like any kind of videos or documentaries or whatever, that I'd know of before yours would be either the UK or the US. There wouldn't be anything
Yeah.
specific, even in terms of all the statistics and figures and things you put in. I've never seen that compiled anywhere else. So, it's great to have that available, and it got lots and lots of views.
Yeah, no, it did. It got I think it's got like 1,600 views or something like that so far. So and it's been out for I guess about a month or so. Has it been?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Time. Yeah. So yeah, I was glad with the views that I got. I mean, I was hoping it would reach a certain, like, kind of get maybe a couple of hundred in the first week, but it got almost up to 1,000 within a week. So I was really glad with the outcome in that regard. And it seems to have reached quite a number of people. And hopefully it'll make people think. I can't imagine that everyone who's watching it is vegan or agrees with what we're doing with animal rights. But I think what it does is it can plant a seed in some people and make people think, and show people. I mean, at the very least, it's going to make people more aware of these things, and hopefully some of those people will decide to boycott animal products and go vegetarian or preferably vegan.
Absolutely, and it's the first of its kind for this country, and I've been using it for when people are inquiring about fact figures or wanting a vegan pack. I'm sending them the link to your documentary to help it kind of reach out there a little bit more as well. So it's definitely, even in terms of the likes of myself, having it available as an educational tool for anyone interested in becoming vegan, it's a really, really huge help. Now, following on from that, is there any other projects you have going at the moment, or is there any other documentaries you'd like to do in the future?
Yeah, so a feature-length documentary on banning hair coursing is definitely something I'd like to do some point later this year, because obviously you guys have the the ongoing ban hair coursing campaign, and yeah, I mean that campaign. Like you said, with the fact that things are a bit sort of stationary politically due to the coronavirus, that means that there's quite a good chance that by the time we'll even get around to looking at the bill, which of course, like I should mention, Paul Murphy is correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul Murphy is introducing a bill to ban hair coursing, but it certainly will likely, or very likely, be next year by the time it's actually voted on. So that means releasing a documentary towards the end of the year is probably a good time. So yeah, banning hair coursing. It'd be good to get the documentary out in months leading up to the vote and the call, because that then can inspire people to contact their TDs and sort of help build momentum for the campaign as we move forward. So that's sort of my sort of primary short-term objective when it comes to animal rights videography, is to put together a full-length documentary banning hair coursing. There's lots of other ideas that I could work on. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure about, say, like there are things like, say, greyhound racing, but RT did a big documentary on that, so I'm feeling that I'm less inclined to make a documentary of that because it's really out there in
It's
the public
done. Yeah, yeah.
domain right now. But you know, there are many other topics we're considering looking at. I mean, you know, even zoos, for example, is one possibility. You know, factory farming, which, you know, again is separate to slaughterhouses themselves. So factory farming, another possibility. You know, and there, you know, and then obviously animal testing. Animal testing is another thing. Like
There's so many issues,
yeah,
unfortunately, but
so many
that
issues. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'd have to sort of think it through and think, okay, which issue is most important to making the next project on moving forward. So hair courting, because of course, you know, ongoing campaign legislation going to be proposed, you know, probably sometime in spring or summer next year, thereabouts.
that would
So
be great. That would be a huge help, and especially if we have a little bit of time to build up the campaign, and you know, when the health and safety
yeah,
restrictions start disappearing, we'll have more time to be getting out there, doing things, and meeting with politicians. So to have a video package to kind of go along with that as an educational tool would be brilliant. So as always, thank you so much, Dean.
yeah, no
But
problem.
I think that like your ideas of doing a documentary on zoos, for example, I think that would be very good. And I've never seen a full documentary on zoos. I've seen small clips and video campaigns by a few groups in the UK, but no proper documentary done on the issue, and certainly not on Dublin Zoo, for example. So a project on that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, like that's definitely something I could do down the line. Like I said, like zoos is an option, animal testing is an option. So yeah, they're all definitely sort of, I suppose, candidates for the project that I would work on after the ban hair coursing documentary. So yeah, I mean, you know, I could be making documentaries for the next 50 years and still have more to work on. There's just so many issues when it comes to animal rights. You know, so you know, so obviously the dream is that there'll be no issues to work on when it comes to animal rights.
That is the dream.
You know,
But
just to make historical documentaries about what we've achieved. But for now, we have
yeah.
a lot to do.
But I have a feeling like because everything seemed to go so well from your fur documentary onwards with that campaign, I have a good feeling that your documentary on hair coursing will be kind of like our good luck charm for the campaign. So fingers crossed.
Thanks. Yeah, well, hopefully so. Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully. And so for anyone interested in going vegan or getting involved in activism or even taking on the role that you have as kind of videographer and visual storyteller for campaigns, is there any advice that you'd have for them?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, for people who just want to get involved in activism in general, I'd say, you know, go to National Animal Rights Association's Facebook page, NARA campaigns, and then of course you guys have a website, naracampaigns.org. You know, so you know those are obviously you know, going to provide sort of more information, and obviously mostly the Facebook page. It's going to provide information about how people can get involved. Because of course I know towards the end of this month, the end of June, you guys is towards the end of June, you're going to hopefully get back up and running campaign.
We're going to be getting back to normal on the 20th of the 21st of July, because the 20th
July, okay.
is when the last phase of the lockdown ends. So
Cool.
we'll be back in business 21st of July.
Yeah, exactly. So if people sign up to like the Facebook page, they'll be able to see when the events are coming back. You know, and obviously it's probably a great time for people to get involved because it's sort of like a fresh start in many ways. You know, everyone's coming out of lockdown. You know, and yeah, so you know, and obviously you know, so people can do their research in that regard, and then obviously people can get involved through activism online, or donating to animal charities as well as another possibility. You know, so people should keep an eye on your Facebook page, and they should look out for different groups and check out which ones are good, and you know, how to do a bit of research, I suppose. But of course, I'm sure they could always just, you know, contact you guys if they need more advice on, in terms of activism in that regard. So yeah, in videography, so if someone wants to get started off in videography, obviously first and foremost is getting a decent camera. You don't have to spend like over €1,000 or anything to get a camera these days. I got my camera, which is you know, it's a good quality HD camera. and I got it for maybe 400, 500 euro, or maybe about 400, I'd say roughly. It was second
That's
hand.
not bad.
Yeah, second hand, but at the same time, I got it in, I think I got it in 2015, and it's still going well to this day, so 5 years later, it's going really well. And I was able to get like a lens and an adapter to put like an 85mm lens on it as well. So you're able to do a lot with a camera like that. Yeah, so so I mean, first of all, just getting a good camera. You can look, obviously, if you want to do like professional interviews, things like that. Obviously, you can look at getting a good, like, Sennheiser microphone, like a like rifle microphone, or unidirectional microphone, they're also known as, and then a boom pole for doing interviews. Obviously you can look at getting a tripod as well. But first of all, if you want to just capture footage of protests, if you want to do a quick couple of interviews with activists outside, just asking them what's going on and stuff, then you can just get a decent camera for a couple of £100, second hand or first hand, whichever way you want to go about it. The one camera I have is the Lumix G6 from Panasonic. So that's something people can definitely look at. And then also, beyond that, then obviously you want to look at editing software. I mean, look, if you're just really starting out, I mean, look, use a movie maker is fine. You can use that at the very, very start. Doesn't have much to offer, but it's basic editing tool you can use. But then I'd recommend trying to get something like Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. But there is also lots of other software out there that people can look at. Some that are more affordable than others. Yeah, so there's a lot of options in that regard. And yeah, I mean, I'd recommend checking out different tutorials on videography and editing, things like that. And sort of, it's practice makes perfect. Maybe you want to practice at home, interviewing your family members about anything, about like, just mundane stuff, ask them about the weather or something, it's just
to get used to it, yeah.
Practice in that regard. You can maybe have people look back on it and they can give suggestions on how to improve and stuff. So yeah, practice makes perfect. But look, if you want to do it and you're, just go for it, just go out there and start being, be a videographer. Just go for it. There's it's a way to do it is, don't wait for anyone to sort of tell you, to do it. Just go for it. Yeah.
That's good. That's great advice. And for anyone starting out now, they've a great idea of what they should be buying, how to go about it, and price range as well. So thank you so much for that, no Dean. And for anyone who wants to check out some of your videos, where can they find it? What's your YouTube link?
Yeah, so Dean Mullen Films is my YouTube channel. So it's there's quite a lot of animal rights stuff there. It's not all animal rights. I do have like film projects, and I have a couple of like short videos and different things up there. So it's quite a mix of stuff, but you'll easily find my animal rights stuff there. If you go into my videos, you'll find the stuff, no problem. So it's not just the fur farming documentaries. It's also like I said, Ireland slaughterhouses, but it's also just different footage of different protests over the years that I've uploaded to that channel. So and all sorts of extra content, like I had a video where I interviewed some of you guys, so all sorts of stuff really. And then there's just promo videos and videos of the march close all slaughterhouses. So there's tons of content there. So yeah, Dean Mullen Films
of stuff
on YouTube. Dean Mullen Films on YouTube. Yeah,
loads of stuff. I highly recommend that everybody check out his stuff, because it's a great also kind of an archive of campaigns that have happened in Ireland, and it's also a great example for anyone starting out as a videographer of what kind of makes a high impact in a video. So definitely check out his page. But thank you so much for chatting with me today,
yeah,
Dean.
No problem.
It's been a great insight, and I'm sure lots of people will find that very helpful and informative, especially if they're starting out as activists and videographers as well. So thanks so much, Dean, and I hope I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, cool, no problem at all. Yeah, that sounds good. Best of luck.
Thanks, Dean. Bye.